So basically, you know, the main objective of studying service transition is to understand the various processes and elements of the service transition stage, okay, in the ITIL service life cycle. And it will also help you understand how to, come up with plans in order to move your resources from the design stage to the operation stage. Okay, so see, after completing this chapter, you will be able to learn what service transition life cycle stages and policies are. Then, of course, you will learn about the process of change management and release and deploy management process, emphasizing the coordination with service design specifications. So these are the three things that we will be going through in this class. Okay, starting with service transition life cycle stages and policies. So, what is the service transition life cycle stage all about? Okay. So, see, the transition life cycle stage of ITIL manages the transition of an organization, okay, while providing a capability to deliver the service operation and uh, continuous service improvement. Okay. So, as given, it supports the plan as well as manage the change of state of a service in its life cycle. Okay, so the primary intention of this stage is to plan and manage the changes adequately. So the service transition stage also delivers the uh, knowledge and controls the risk for an effective management of the change and provides the value to the business and customers. Okay, so basically, and also it helps all participants make informed trustworthy decisions and support challenges through the service delivery. So during the service transition, the following are some of the organizational elements which need support, that are the people, the process, technology, service strategy, organizational culture, suppliers of the service, governance and risk. So, a major challenge of the service transition stage is the changing behavior of the people towards, uh, accommodating a diversified service. Okay, so in short, the service transition phase manages the transition of a service from the service design stage to the service operation stage. Okay, and it makes sure that the changes are done in a coordinated fashion. Fine. So now, in order to understand more about the goals of service transition, so let us now try to understand the goals of service transition. So these are some of the goals. Okay. So what do we have? So see, aligning the fresh or changed service with the organizational necessities and organizational operations. Next, plan and manage the capability and resources required to package, build, test, and then deploy a release into the production. Then, just wait, huh? Okay, then provide a reliable and rigorous framework for assessing the service capability and risk profile before any new or changed service is released. Then you have establish and maintain the reliability of all identified service assets and configurations. Deliver good quality knowledge and information to push effective decisions about promoting a release. Provide effectively repeatable build and installation mechanism to deploy releases to examine and production. Lastly, we have making sure that the service can be operated, supported, and managed in accordance with service design. Okay. So, you know, um, you can summarize it as the service transition ensures that the effective usability of the resources, taking better decision and increasing the operational efficiency. Okay, so thereby improving the customer satisfaction and enhancing the business. Okay, so now we will look at value to the organization due to service transition. So what value it provides to an organization, okay, or business. So first is the ability to adapt rapidly to new requirements. Next is creates importance for business by improving. Next is the success rate of changes and releases for the organization, the estimates of service levels and warranties for fresh and changed services, confidence in the degree of acceptance with the organization necessities without change, and then finally we have transparency of plans so the business can connect their organization change plans with the transition plans. So since the service transition stage enhances the business by maintaining the compliance and service levels of the new services, it is necessary, okay, that we understand the scope of service transition. Okay, so what this scope tells us, it basically includes the management. Okay, it is about managing the processes, systems and function to be built, tested and be deployed into the production and fulfill the customer requirements. Okay. Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
next we come to the service transition processes. So basically we have these various processes. One is change management, then knowledge management, release and deploy management, okay, service validation and testing, and IT service asset and configuration management. So we'll start with the process of change management. Okay, so what is change management? So by the definition, change management is a process to ensure that changes are recorded and then evaluated, authorized, prioritized, planned, tested, implemented, documented and reviewed in a controlled manner. Okay, so basically ITIL change management process is specially designed to understand and reduce the risks involved during any IT change. Okay, and businesses have two crucial expectations of the services delivered by the IT. One is the services should be reliable, stable, and predictable, and second, the services should be capable enough to of changing rapidly to meet progressing business requirements. So these two expectations lead to conflict since the objective of change management is to permit the IT service management to meet both the practical changes and expectations. So it also allows the quick changes while decreasing the possibility of interference to the services. And change management applies a formal and proper process to achieve the changes. A suitably implemented change management process can lead to a greater benefit. Okay, and therefore we'll look at some of the uh, you know so okay, the benefits are not given anyways. So some of the benefits that you can come across, okay, while talking about change management are like by arranging all the changes according to the resources being assigned, and then by confirming that the configuration management system should be updated and upgraded to reflect the changes in the organization. Then by giving assistance about all the planned changes that have been made, okay, and which are evaluated for the risks and benefits and considering the effects associated with those plans, and also testing all the changes cautiously. Okay, so each deployment comprises a backtrack plan in order to regenerate those faults in the event when the deployment fails to process. Okay, so therefore you can say that change management allows for a rapid change with the organization simultaneously, okay, minimizing the impact of the change to the organization, and the process maintains the review of all the authorized changes within the organization. Next we come to the objectives of the change management. So below we have the list of objectives. One is minimize impact or risk of implementing changes, respond to changing business requirements, implement changes successfully, implement changes in times that meet the business requirements, ensure all changes are sanctioned at the appropriate level with the business and IT, use standard processes to record all changes. Okay, so now we come to the scope of change management. See, addition, removal, or modification of any item or service or else associated documentation, including strategic, tactical, as well as operational changes, and excluding anything documented as out of scope, and business strategy and process. So therefore, the change management is limited to the changes that can degrade a service or a functionality. Okay, and this can be handled using the change management process. Okay, which is explained here in the next section. So we have the ITIL change management process described here. So we will discuss the different procedures here that are a part of the ITIL change management process. Okay, so first we go through the creating a request for change. So details may be found in a change request, include uh, incidents that required a change, a risk assessment, and you have explanation of the change that would be applied, the impact that the change would disturb all associated systems. A backup plan must be followed in incident this unsuccessful change, a framework of who will need to accept the request, and gathering information for everybody involved in the change. So basically, you see, if someone is making a request for a change, then they are responsible for detailing and filling all the details. Okay, and it will help others to realize the changes that are needed to be applied. So basically, the initial change request submission comprises the particulars about the implementation steps and the risks associated with it. And if this information is already known to the creator, then it is not required to mention the information details at that time. Next, we have reviewing and assessing a request for the change. Okay, so see if if a person is responsible for reviewing a request for the change, then that person needs to assess the request based on its practicality and priority. Okay, so the person's job will be to define whether the request is practical and to offer feedback related to that request. So if the addressed request have any problems or is not practical enough to implement, then that should be fixed first. Okay, and talking about practical request will be estimated to the initiator of the request that the effect which makes a change in the company, and valuation on the return on any investment, which we also call the ROI, and the resources needed to complete the request is made. So the organization employees will also decide who would be responsible for satisfying that particular request made, and implementers capability to commit the time to make that change. Next, we come to planning the request. So here, when a request for the change is made, the concerned person will need to plan for that change by assuming that it is going to happen. Okay, and a change plan provides the information on where the change will happen and the resources that are required to complete the change within the timeline for execution. Next, we come to testing the change. So if a change relates to debugging a software or changing a system or anything else, then the person may test the change before its approval. Okay, and the procedure to be followed is to take a small scale test demo when the change request is accepted, and further changing of the testing of the change gives a chance to uh, you know uh, find out few problems in the procedures that have been developed. Next, we have creating a change proposal. So here, a change proposal basically reflects the kind of change, its priority, and the consequences that would take place if the change is not made. So the concerned person is given the proposal to authorize the changes. So it is necessary to explain briefly about the need for the change. Next, we have implementing the changes. So here implementing change is actually not an easy process, as already given here. The changes are built throughout the planning process, and the implementation is just a single stage in this change management process. So once the changes have been made, it is necessary to test if the desired changes have been met or not. If the change is not successful, then we have to use some remediation methods to find out what the issue is, and then we design a backup plan to resolve that issue that hampered that particular change. Next, we talk about reviewing change performance. So here an IT professional must want to understand whether the change procedures are working as per the expectation level. Okay, so this is the most vital part of the change management process, and it is it is the post implementation review that will be done. Okay. Next, we talk about closing the process. So, see, once the change process is complete, and we ensure that the complete process has been listed in the database so that all the participants can access it. Okay, and the process ends when the documentation has been created. So, uh, next, you see, this is the change management process activity. So whatever we discussed right now, okay, everything is in here. Okay, so see, so here this actually also includes some of the activities involved in the change management process, which we'll be going through now. Okay, so some are like change the logging and acceptance or filtering. Okay, next we have managing the changes as well as change process, managing the cap, impact and resource assessment, coordinate the change. Okay, so we'll discuss this one by one. So starting with changing the logging and acceptance. So here we'll find out, does the request for change have sufficient information and quality. Okay, then also this requires the unique identification number, and it filters out uh, the unrealistic request for changes and issues of feedback. Okay, next, in the managing the changes as well as the change process, in this second activity here, the request for changes will be prioritized. All the requests will be prioritized depending upon the risk assessment. Okay, and then those requests will be also categorized. Okay, for example, for significant, minor or major impact. Next, we come to managing the CAB, third activity. So CAB is basically, CAB means change advisory board. Okay, so this board, in addition to the ECAB, which is the emergency change advisory board, okay, they'll work together and evaluate all the requests. Okay, next, impact and resource management. So here acceptance will be done based on the business, financial and technical criteria. Okay, and also the forward scheduling of change is looked upon. Then we have the coordinate the change, the last activity. So here backing is done by release management. The change management manages the building, testing and the implementation of the change. Also management reporting and reviewing and closing of the request for changes. So the steps are same for the emergency changes as well. Okay, but however the only difference is that the emergency changes are approved immediately by the ECAP, and later on the changes, once the changes are built, tested and implemented. Okay, then these steps have happen before the paperwork is done. So in short, you can say that the change management manages and coordinates the changes in the organization and therefore improves the efficiency of the operation in the organization. And also it provides few other values. Okay, like here we have arranging and responding to customer or user and organization change proposals. Then we have implementing the changes that satisfies the customer's approved service requirements while enhancing the cost, contributing to meet legal governance and contractual and regulatory necessities, minimizing failed changes and therefore service disturbance defects and rework, delivering change punctuality to meet business timescales, tracking changes over the service life cycle, contributing to better assessments of the time, quality, and cost of change, assessing the risks related with the transition of services. Now we shall look at some of the terminologies of change management. Okay, so we'll look at the terminologies here. Okay, so first is the standard change. Okay, so what is the standard change? So see, it is a pre-approved change that comprises of some low risk, relatively general, and and it follows a work instruction or procedure. Okay, so for example, a password reset or the facility of standard equipment of a new employee. Okay, so here requests for changes are not essential to implement. Fine. And so as I said, the requests for changes are not essential to implement the standard change. They are registered and tracked using a diverse mechanism such as the service change. Next, talking about the normal change. So here it is a change which works in all the steps of the changing process. Emergency change, so it is a change which needs to be accepted as soon as possible. Okay, so the change management has a specific procedures, for handling such emergency changes. Next, we come to the change manager, who is a person accountable for the change management process. Request for change. So every change made to the IT infrastructure must go through a change management, right? And the change for request for change, which is RFC, it is officially issued for every change request. Next, we have the CAB. So this is a dynamic group of people, okay, that favors changes with the medium to high risk, priority, and impact. Next, we have change models. So here, several organizations use the change models proceeding to implementation for assessing the impact of the change. And change management and capacity management work together on this. Next, CAB or EC. So CAB or EC means it's a capped emergency committee which accepts and authorizes the changes with high risk, emergency, urgency, and impact. And finally, we have the forward schedule change, FSC. Okay, forward schedule of change, which comprises details of all the approved changes and their planned implementation day. Okay, then we are left with only one topic, so I think we can cover it tomorrow. Development, release and development management process. We will, or not tomorrow. Okay, are you free on Saturday?
Yes, ma'am.
If possible, I will take one class so that we end up this particular